With the Leaf, Nissan was one of the first to produce a mainstream all-electric vehicle. But when it comes to the new booming EV SUV segment, Nissan's a little late to the party. But the brand has finally decided to jump in with the Ariya. Now, to see if it's any good, we're going to put it up against an established player in the Ford Mustang Mach-E. It's new versus not quite as new in the next AutoGuide comparison brought to you by WeatherTech. We'll get you back to our electrifying feature in a second, but let's take a moment to talk about our sponsor. Custom made for an exact fit, WeatherTech offers a complete line of protection for your vehicle's interior, including EVs like these. There's the original WeatherTech floor liner and the new floor liner HP made from a more flexible material. Both work with your OE floor mat clips and protect up the side of the footwell. Plus, the floor liner HP comes with spikes for even better grip. I have one set in my car and another in my wife's car, and we both love them. And let's not forget the cargo liner, which is great to protect your vehicle from everything you might need to throw in the back of your all-new electric SUV. All WeatherTech products come with a lifetime guarantee, so do yourself a favor and click the link in the description below and find the perfect fit for your vehicle today. Having been on sale for 3 years, Ford is constantly updating the Mustang Mach-E. With new competitors like the Nissan Ariya arriving on the scene all the time, the brand can't be complacent. Currently, the Mach-E can be had with rear or all-wheel drive and a choice of 3 battery sizes as well as multiple power levels. The lowest powered Mach-E's have 226 horsepower and 316 pound-feet of torque, while the most powerful, the GT, gets 480 horsepower and 634 pound-feet. Our premium trim test vehicle has the dual motors and all-wheel drive. It makes 346 horsepower and 428 pound-feet of torque. Ford claims this setup is good enough for 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds. So as the numbers suggest, there's more than enough power for any driving situation. It's really all the power you need. Maybe you'll want some more, but it's all you need. Keeping our Mach-E tester running is the largest battery option, measuring in at 91 kilowatts. This gives the vehicle an official range of 290 miles between charges. That's on the higher end of the Mach-E's range, which is between 224 miles for the lowest and 312 miles for the highest, depending on how the Mustang is configured. During our mixed driving, we're getting similar range numbers on this nice summer day. When this big battery does run out of juice, it can recharge at speeds up to 150 kilowatt hours. Now, that's not the highest in the segment, but it is more than the Ariya. Plus, a lot of stage 3 chargers don't go over 150, but more and more are being installed all the time. The Mach-E's cabin is one of the most spacious in the segment. A lot of that has to do with the glass roof that provides a nice airy feel. I like the way that it curves up because it doesn't affect headroom for front or rear passengers. And speaking of those in the rear, they shouldn't complain about space or comfort, and adults will fit without a problem. The only downside is the roof does kind of slope at the rear, cutting off outward visibility. Up front, the seats are very comfortable with a cushiony feel that you sort of sink into. I like the cabin's overall design with the massive 15.5-inch tablet screen and fabric inserts on the dashboard and speakers. The touchscreen features just one button and one large dial, and although it's easy enough to operate and navigate through the various menus, some tasks take too many steps to complete. As should be expected of a higher trim model, the Mustang Mach-E comes well equipped. Included are that fixed glass roof, the massive screen, a smart liftgate, rain-sensing wipers, a B&O audio system, wireless phone charging, and Ford's Blue Cruise 1.2. Oh, and unlike the Ariya, the Mustang Mach-E has a front trunk, and it's a pretty useful one too that can also drain in case things do get wet up there. For whatever reason, EVs are always trying to be funky and a little different. The Ford Mustang Mach-E has a couple unique features like the door handles. Now, the ones on the exterior are yet to win me over, but I do like the ones on the interior quite a lot. The overall styling is also quirky, with the stretched, enlarged Mustang pony car cues front and rear. It may not be for everyone's taste, but it is growing on me. Another thing I like about the Mach-E is the overall refined feeling to the way it drives. Besides ample power, the vehicle is smooth on the road, isolating sound and absorbing bumps. It's also more composed and grips harder in the corners compared to the Ariya, and the brake pedal is more firm compared to the spongy one in the Nissan. Overall, I'd say this is the more premium, refined feel behind the wheel. The Mach-E continues to be an appealing all-electric SUV choice. It combines refinement, space, comfort, performance, and range in an attractive package. The question is it better than the Ariya? Time to find out. The Ariya may seem big on the outside, but it's a bit of an optical illusion due to the curvy, rounded, bubbly shape of the vehicle. It's actually smaller than the brand's own Rogue compact SUV. Compared to the Mustang Mach-E, it's not quite as long as that vehicle, but it is a little bit wider and a little bit taller. Inside though, it feels much bigger. This has a lot to do with clever packaging that's only available with an electric vehicle. The front and rear floors are nearly flat, which gives passengers a very airy van-like feeling inside. Although some of the dimensions when it comes to legroom and headroom are slightly smaller in here compared to the Mustang, you wouldn't notice it. And the rear seat of this vehicle is the better place for adults, as space and comfort is similar to the Mustang, but the larger rear windows give you more of an airy feel. The front seats may not be quite as comfortable as the Fords, but they're still a great place to spend a lot of time. Like the Mach-E, there are dual screens on the dashboard, measuring over 12 inches each here. But unlike the Ford, there are also dual glove boxes and this power adjustable center console. The overall styling has sophisticated flair with the curved dual screens, rose gold trim highlights, and the geometric ambient lighting. Of course, I can't review this EV without talking about the haptic touch controls built into the fake wood trim. I really like their look, and in practice, they work pretty well. Are they as good as a conventional push button control? No, not at all. Do they look super cool and futuristic? Yeah, they do. While on the topic of cargo features, our tester also includes the around view monitor, a rear view mirror camera, wireless phone charging, heated rear seats, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, rain sensing wipers, head-up display, and much more. One feature the Ariya trails the Mach-E is when it comes to cargo capacity. The rear hatch holds a lot less, and there is no front trunk in this vehicle like in the Ford. Like the Mustang Mach-E, the Ariya is available with a variety of drivetrains, battery sizes, and power levels. But unlike the Ford, the Nissan is front-wheel drive when you opt for the single motor instead of rear-wheel drive. The entry-level Ariya makes 214 horsepower and 229 pound-feet of torque, and the top-line model with the dual motor has 389 horsepower and 442 pound-feet of torque. Now, compared to the Ford, if you ignore the Mach-E GT, that makes the power levels pretty much on par. The largest battery, which is in my test vehicle, comes in at 87 kilowatts, which is a bit smaller than the largest battery from the Mustang Mach-E. With the smaller battery, overall range for entry-level vehicles is about 205 miles between charges, whereas the longest traveling Ariya with the large battery and front-wheel drive like my test vehicle is 289 miles. Max charging speed is a bit lower than the Mustang Mach-E as well, as this can do a max of 130 kilowatt hours compared to the Ford's 150. On the road, the Ariya has enough power for all situations, which should come as no surprise because again, it's very closely matched to the Mach-E. But what does surprise me is even in the front-wheel drive model, which I'm driving now with the upgraded 238 horsepower motor, there's more than enough power in all situations. Even on the highway, I'm impressed with how much torque and power this vehicle has. Ride comfort is good and on par with the Mustangs. The entire vehicle is well sorted in terms of dynamics and controls. It accelerates, steers, and stops predictably, feeling more like a regular SUV than the Mach-E. Those coming from, say, an Escape or Rogue will feel right at home in this vehicle. One little quirk I have noticed while driving the Ariya, though, has to do with the braking. When you come to a complete stop, the vehicle rocks back and forth a bit before settling down on its springs. Now, it's not a huge deal, but it is something I noticed, and now that I am aware of it, it's really hard to ignore. Pricing for the Ariya covers a big range depending on configuration, but apples to apples, feature to feature, it matches up really well with the Mach-E. It's with the execution where the two vehicles differ. The Ariya is more of a comfy, passenger-first electric SUV, and it doesn't have that sporting edge that some vehicles do, sort of like the Mach-E. Now, that's not to say the Ford is a slouch when it comes to refinement or passenger comfort, because it does both of those pretty well. Ultimately though, both are very compelling choices in the rapidly growing and rapidly changing all-electric SUV segment. For my money though, I'll give the narrow, slight edge to the Ford Mustang Mach-E.